with 9/10 of a second left.
This was not supposed to happen. The 2021 Atlanta Hawks had one of the most surprising and entertaining playoff runs we've seen in recent memory. Not just for Hawks fans, but for anyone who loves the game of basketball. But it wasn't even supposed to be like that. So in this video, I'm going to briefly take y'all throughout that season, the ups, the downs, all that, and how we ended up going toe-to-toe with the eventual NBA champions, the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's start with the 2020 season just to get a little backstory. The 2020 season was terrible for the Hawks. They won just 20 games, and whenever the NBA world froze, NBA teams got invited to a bubble. Not the Hawks. They were just one of 8 teams that weren't invited to the bubble. Now, the expectations for the Hawks for the 2021 season weren't really high, but they weren't that low either because, Hawks had a good young core. We had Trae Young, John Collins, DeAndre Hunter, and Cam Reddish. And Kevin Huerter was shooting that ball well. And we just traded for Clint Capella in that previous season, but he didn't play due to an injury. So the whole 2021 season wasn't completely hopeless. We had a good young core, but the biggest issue is we could not shoot at all. During the 2020 season, the Hawks were the worst three-point shooting team in the entire NBA, which was why their main priority in the 2020 offseason was fixing the shooting. The Hawks were actually aggressive this offseason, which was the only time during this span besides 2025. But we went and we signed Bogdan Bogdanovic, which was one of the best shooters we could have gotten. We also got Danilo Gallinari, another shooter, proven vet. We also brought in even more vets with Rajon Rondo, Chris Dunn, and Solomon Hill. In the 2020 draft, we had the 6th overall pick, which we used to select Onyeka Okongwu. We also drafted Skylar Mays in the 2nd round. We also picked up Nathan Knight. So on paper, we were deeper, we were more experienced, and we had way better shooting. So maybe the rebuild would actually be over. The 2021 season started on December 23rd, 2020 in Chicago, and right away the Hawks made a statement. We blew out the Bulls by 20 and Trae Young dropped 37 points on 10 of 12 shooting. It actually looked like the new Hawks were really going to make a run. The season actually started off pretty well. We were 4-1 in our first 5 games, but that didn't really last. By March 1st, they were 14-20, which led to the firing of head coach Lloyd Pierce, and this is really what changed the whole season for the Hawks. We went and signed assistant coach Nate McMillan to be our interim head coach. At the trade deadline, the Hawks only made one deal, which was trading Rajon Rondo to the Clippers in exchange for Lou Williams. Lou Williams was returning back to Atlanta, which was his hometown, and that's whenever everything clicked. Right after Nate McMillan took over, the Hawks won his first 8 games as head coach. They would finish the season 19-11 after the win streak, which was enough to clinch the 5th seed, which was their first playoff berth since 2016. The first round matchup was against the New York Knicks, who were making their first playoff appearance since 2013. This was supposed to be, on paper, a really close series, but that wasn't really what happened. Now, I will admit, Game 1 was pretty crazy. It was 2 teams who weren't even supposed to make the playoffs, dueling it out in the playoffs. New York had a hostile playoff environment because, it was their first playoffs in 8 years, and they were booing Trae Young every time he touched the ball. But that didn't really matter because he dropped 32 points, 10 assists, and hit the infamous game-winning floater in his playoff debut. And just like that, New York's newest villain was born. The Knicks did bounce back in Game 2, coming back from a double-digit deficit at halftime, which evened the series at 1. Now it was time for Atlanta's first playoff game since 2016, which they ended up winning by 11 points to take a 2-1 lead in the series. Game 4 wasn't competitive either, which they won by 17, which means they were up 3-1, just 1 win away from advancing to the 2nd round. Trae Young was welcomed back to New York in Game 5 with boos, but that didn't really matter as the Hawks breezed by and Trae Young hit a bow, which Knicks fans didn't like. They won by 14, and just like that, Atlanta won their first playoff series in 5 years. But next up was the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, the Philadelphia 76ers. This was Embiid's best chance at finally making the Eastern Conference Finals, which a lot of people thought it was actually going to happen because, it's the 1 seed versus the 5 seed. People thought that the Hawks had a little run, but the Sixers were going to put them out. The Hawks came out the gates hot in Game 1, and they were up by 26 at one point, but the Sixers fought back, which led to the Hawks only winning by 4, but a win is a win, and they were up 1-0. Game 2 didn't go so great for the Hawks as Philly blew them out by 16, but we're back to Atlanta now. But that really didn't matter because the Sixers won by 16 and they took a 2-1 lead, and most people thought this was it for the Hawks. The little run was over. But this team had some fight in them. Game 4, which your boy was in attendance for, the Hawks came back down 16 at halftime and even the series at 2 going back to Philly. And now we get to Game 5, which was one of the most beautiful games I've ever watched as a Hawks fan. My words can't describe what happened, so you're going to have to watch it for yourself.
Getting stuck in this one, and Embiid
scores two more, give him 30. Simmons jumps the quarter. That's a guy to get on. Down 14. They were down 24 with 2 minutes left in the third. And Gallinari sticks a three. 15 in the third. Gets two. There's a lead for Young. They're scoring now without him as Embiid. Father-in-law Doc Rivers in Philadelphia. There is a great surge here. Into the third, on into the fourth. Lou Williams is round one, which is a career high in the playoffs. There here tonight, got 37 points. Lou Williams keeps it right. Curry's got 30. And Curry again. Behind the back. Collins for three. Oh, off the window. Gets fire. The floater up top. Wow, what a shot. Gets Young. Trying to get by him. Does so. Layup is good. He's on him. Gets by him on the screen. Here he goes. And Young scores again. Two-possession game. Young, the floater. And gets it to go. It's a two-point game. And right back. Late clock here. Down to four. Gallinari. Big shot for the Hawks. And Embiid to make it a two-point game. He missed both of them. Herter with a rebound, gets the timeout. And Young in the backcourt. Wow, dangerous pass. Thibault falls down. And Young is fouled. Ticks, Curry. That one's good. 0.1 on the clock. And this is going to be an Atlanta victory in Game 5. What a comeback.
Man, I almost turned that game off at halftime, but somehow the Hawks came back and took a 3-2 lead to take Game 6 to Atlanta. Game 6 in Atlanta was a back-and-forth contest, but the Sixers ended up winning by 5, which forced a Game 7 in Philly. It was back and forth the entire Game 7, but your boy Trae Young, he wasn't shooting well. He was shooting like 20%, so somebody had to step up. That someone was Kevin Huerter. He scored 27 points on 55% from the field, which led the Hawks to the Eastern Conference Finals. While Trae Young was struggling offensively, his elite defensive paint presence forced Ben Simmons out of a wide-open layup, which swung the momentum the Hawks' way. Their opponent in the Eastern Conference Finals was the Milwaukee Bucks. Game 1 was in Milwaukee, and Trae Young showed out, dropping 48 points in a 3-point Hawks win. Game 2 was an absolute blowout. The Hawks lost by 34, and Trae Young had just 15 points. But Game 3 is when the worst moment of my entire life happened.
Try to right here. Yeah.
Oh, it looked like you may have stepped on the official's foot. Yeah, right there. A little tweak right there. Little tweak of the ankle on the official Sean Wright's right foot.
Just our luck, Trae Young got injured by the ref, and the Hawks would go on to lose Game 3 by 12, which gave the Bucks a 2-1 lead in the series. Giannis got injured midway through Game 4, which led to the Hawks winning by 22 points, led by Lou Williams with 21 points. The series was back even, Game 5 going back to Milwaukee. Game 5, there's no Trae Young, no Giannis, but the Bucks get it done, winning by 12, led by Brook Lopez with 33 points, and Bogey scored 28 points for the Hawks. Now the Bucks are up 3-2. Game 6 is in Atlanta, and Trae Young is returning way earlier than expected, trying to win this championship. But the Hawks would go on to lose by 11 points. Trae Young, clearly the injury was nagging him. The Bucks held a 22-point lead, and the Hawks didn't even have a lead the entire game. And just like that, the Atlanta Hawks' miraculous run was over. To this day, I still believe that we would have won the 2021 championship if Trae never got injured. But I guess we'll never know. Let me know if y'all enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all on the next one.